I say silver is the biggest bargain I have ever seen, and I'm still buying it because it's an industrial metal as well as a precious metal. All the gold is still left in the world, but silver is disappearing.
We've been conditioned. I think people have been conditioned to believe in paper money over what was real money. Silver and gold were real money for 5,000 years. It's the last 50 years, like you said, since silver has been taken out of coinage. Gold's been no longer backing the dollar, for example.
The recent surge in silver prices, reaching its highest level since December 22nd, is closely tied to expectations of mid-year interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve, as indicated by Chair Jerome Powell. This anticipation has increased investor interest in silver, pushing it towards a significant resistance level of $25.91. Famous analysts Robert Kiyosaki and Peter Krauth, author of The Great Silver Bull, underscore the value of silver, not only as a precious metal, but also for its industrial applications. Silver has been money for centuries, says Kiyosaki. Rather than investing in fiat money, which Kiyosaki called counterfeit fake dollars, investing in commodities may provide a hedge against inflation and the whims of the stock market. According to Peter, the current market dynamics of silver cite supply constraints and the potential for significant price movements driven by industrial demand outpacing supply. Over the past 3 years, there has been a substantial decrease of 30 to 40% in overall silver holdings across the COMEX, Shanghai, and LBMA exchanges, with registered silver available for delivery dropping by approximately 70%. Despite this, the demand for silver is currently being met from secondary supplies, which has maintained a relatively stable silver price. However, Peter suggests that this situation may persist for another year or two, indicating a potential impending shift in the silver market dynamics. Historically, when there is a fear of missing out, FOMO, investors typically turn to silver after gold, leading to a surge in silver prices. This pattern has been observed numerous times, with silver initially showing sideways movement before experiencing significant price surges driven by investment demand. This behavior underscores the historical significance of silver as a safe haven asset during economic uncertainty and investor anxiety. We will present clips from Peter Krauth's interview with Robert Kiyosaki. But before we do, if you want more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more updates. Thank you and enjoy the video.
The conclusion I've come to is that there are what I call secondary supplies. So you've got supplies that come from mining, you've got supplies that come from recycling, and then you've got supplies sitting on the futures exchanges, and you've also got privately held silver. So I believe what's happening is that, and the reason I say this is because I've looked at the research and the charts. And if you look at the COMEX, the Shanghai, and the LBMA, so that's the New York Futures Exchange, where you can buy and sell contracts to trade silver with leverage if you want. Now, there's a little bit of silver on the exchange. So you've got the equivalent in Shanghai, and you've got the equivalent in London. And what we've seen is that over the last 3 years, all three of those have seen, now this is just their overall silver holdings, have come down by about 30 to 40% across the board. If you look at what they have called registered silver, now registered silver at those exchanges is what's available for delivery. So all of it's not available for delivery, but the registered silver is available for delivery. That's down about 70%. The demand is being met from these secondary supplies. And so as long as that can go on, and I think that we may have a year, maybe a couple of years left of that at most, that's going to probably keep the silver price relatively level. Now, that doesn't mean, and we've seen it before, you know as much as I do, Robert, we've seen it before when there's this FOMO or fear of missing out. People will pile into silver, following gold usually, and it just absolutely explodes and goes crazy. Now, we've seen it a few times in the past. Silver does tend to kind of move sideways. And then when this huge fear of missing out comes in and they see gold, let's say 2,500, silver at $35 is going to look like one heck of a bargain next to gold at 2,500. So that just drives so much investment demand, and the silver price will spike. So China is arguably number 2 or 3 world producer of silver, but they don't produce anywhere near as much as they themselves need. And You just have to look at the production numbers for silver and the demand, and especially we talked a little bit earlier about solar. Well, China completely dominates the solar industry. They are 80% of the world's solar panel manufacturing capacity, and I don't I don't know where China's going to get their silver. I mean, they're going to have to compete with everybody else for that. I was talking about getting silver off of the Shanghai Futures Exchange. I can bet that they're standing for delivery and taking delivery there. A lot of silver goes through that exchange. But as I say, they're going to have to compete with everybody else. I'm willing to bet most of the silver produced in China doesn't leave China, just like the gold.
Silver and gold served as real money for thousands of years until recently, when they were removed from circulation. The unsustainability of the current financial system is highlighted by Peter, who views it as an experiment that is not going well due to the exponential increase in the money supply over the last few decades. Money supply M0 in the United States increased to 5,843,700 USD in January from 5,827,400 USD in December 2023. Peter questions the preference for fiat currency over precious metals like silver and gold, suggesting that individuals have been influenced to believe in the value of paper money. Kiyosaki consistently refers to fiat money as fake money, tracing its devaluation back to 1971 when President Richard Nixon detached it from the gold standard. In his viewpoint, the US dollar lost its authenticity as it transitioned from being linked to tangible assets like gold to being based on the full faith and credit of the United States. In contrast, Kiyosaki regards gold and silver as God's money and hails Bitcoin as the people's money. Moreover, current trends in countries like India, Turkey, and Egypt show a growing preference for silver and gold amid economic uncertainties. Significant increases in the prices of these metals in these regions are attributed to understanding the importance of real money throughout history. Peter suggests that other nations should learn from the behavior of these countries, as they have experienced the consequences of monetary mismanagement firsthand.
We've been conditioned. I think people have been conditioned to believe in paper money over what was real money. Silver and gold were real money for 5,000 years. It's the last 50 years, like you said, since silver has been taken out of coinage. Gold's been no longer backing the dollar, for example. So it's only the last 50 years, and I consider that to be an experiment. We're living in an experiment, and it's not going well. You know, when I wrote the book, I looked at what had been happening worldwide to the money supply, and the money supply was up 5 times in the last 20 years. So, I mean, it's unreal. It's something like $300 trillion floating around in the financial system right now. It's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. They're printing like crazy, and COVID was an example of when it went into overdrive, and it hasn't stopped. We are printing like crazy, and reality is going to hit, and it's probably not going to take all that long. It's the you always see the dollar sign as the goal of what to own, and or what to have more of, and they don't realize that the dollar is the dollar, and it has that reputation because it was backed by gold for nearly a century. And if you look back over history, every true reserve currency that has been a country that has been an empire, has dominated the world, eventually gone, but for a long time backed by some kind of gold or silver. And eventually they decide, you know what? It's more convenient to take that out of the currency so we can print all we want. The demise of the Roman Empire is attributed to print. India is one of the world's biggest consumers of silver. They absolutely love it. In fact, it's interesting you mentioned India. I mean, I like to kind of mention just quickly that if you look at what's been happening in 2 other big places with large populations, Turkey and Egypt, Turkey has 65% annual inflation. Imports of silver to Turkey have been off the charts. In Egypt, it's a tradition to give gold, actually, to a newlywed, to the woman, or to give gold for a newborn baby. Well, gold's become too expensive in Egypt. So they're now turning to silver as well. And, you've had the price of silver in the last 3 years has doubled in Egypt. in the Egyptian pound, and in Turkey, it's up 7 times in the last 3 years. It's just off the charts. These countries know real money, and that's why they've been through this so many times before and so badly that we should look to them to see how they behave. They know what they're doing. The population knows what they're doing.
With gold soaring to $2,141 early on March 5th, it came tantalizingly close to its previous all-time high in early December at around $2,151. Meanwhile, silver surged from $22.35 to $24.40, marking an impressive 8.2% increase in just 3 trading days. Could this surge signify the beginning of a new bull market? The odds seem favorable. One thing remains certain. The sentiment surrounding the market remains dismal, which ironically could be viewed as a positive sign. Feel free to share your thoughts on Peter's prediction regarding silver in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more content like this. Thank you for tuning in.